Hello students and welcome to this accuracy and bias video experience. Today we're going to be talking about what it means for a nonfiction source to be accurate and how to determine if an author has a particular bias in an article. So let's start with accuracy. When something is accurate, it means that it is correct in all details or it is exact. When you're taking a math test, you want your answers to be accurate so you earn all of the possible points. When a doctor is diagnosing your illness, you want him or her to be accurate so that you're treated for the correct sickness and can recover without any other issues. In the same way, we want our articles to be accurate so that we know that the information in it is correct. Accuracy can also be called credibility. If an article is accurate or credible, you can trust the information to be reliable and true. This is crucial when you are writing research papers or doing research projects. If the information you get from articles isn't accurate, then your paper or project will also be incorrect. So how do we decide if a source is accurate? Well, we ask ourselves, is it CRAP? CRAP stands for currency, reliability, authority, and purpose or point of view. So let's start with currency. If an article is current, it is up to date. Think about your doctor again, but now let's pretend you're having surgery. Back in medieval times, surgeries were performed by barbers, anesthetic could kill you before a surgeon even started, and people only began covering wounds with bandages in the mid-1500s. You would want your surgeon to have the most up-to-date information and technology so you could trust that the surgery would go well, unlike medieval times when it was kind of a toss-up whether or not you would survive. So to decide if your article is current, you can look at when it was published. Some fields, such as medicine or other sciences, change frequently as new information comes in, so you would need the most current articles possible. In general, you want to find sources that have recent information so you know you have the whole story. You can ask yourself things like, how recently was this written? How recent is the information in the article? Has anything else about this topic come out that contradicts this article? So you want to make sure that whatever information your article is saying, it's the most up to date. There isn't anything new that is saying, no, whatever is on this article is now incorrect. If you think about these computers, which were way before all of your lifetimes, it's now out of date, right? It's not up to date anymore. So you want the latest information so that your information is the most correct. Next, there's reliability. If something is reliable, it means you can count on it to be true. It's dependable and trustworthy. Think about your friends. We really value friends who we can trust in all areas. We know that they'll keep secrets, and we believe that what they say is true. It's the same with articles. You need to know that an author's information is true and reliable. So you can ask yourself, what kind of information is included here? Is the content mostly opinion, or is it balanced between opinion and facts? Does the author include sources for the data and quotes? On a basic level, does it seem like the information is logical, or is it a little off the wall? You know, if there's too much opinion and not enough solid evidence, you know it's not a reliable source because the author isn't basing those opinions on enough facts. Reliable authors will also include a list of where they got their information so readers can be assured that it's not all just made up out of thin air. Next is authority. This is where you decide whether or not the author knows what he or she is talking about. If you're reading an article about the effects of the Revolutionary War on the early American governmental framework, you want the author to be someone who has extensively studied the subject so you know that the author knows what he or she is talking about. Where the article is found is also important. An article about Martin Luther King Jr. in Time magazine will most likely be a more credible source than one found in People magazine or Cosmopolitan. You want to make sure that both the source and the author have authority or a deep knowledge on a given subject. You can ask yourself, what are the credentials or the qualifications that the author has? This means, did they study this topic? Do they have degrees that are related to this topic? Or is it just some random person writing about something they're interested in? Also, is the article from a reputable source? Reputable means people know that things that they publish are normally true. So instead of just being some home published magazine out of someone's basement, it's something that people have checked and know that is true. Last in our accuracy acronym of CRAP is purpose or point of view. Remember from our last video that an author may have one of three purposes: to persuade, to inform, or to entertain. These purposes will affect that author's accuracy. For instance, think about the commercials you see on TV. What are they trying to do? Sell you stuff. So obviously they're going to show their products in the most positive possible light. Have you seen those commercials for paper towels where they show a single paper towel holding up against a waterfall of grape juice or fruit punch or whatever that is? Have you ever tried to mop up a really big mess with one single paper towel the way they do in commercials? It never works the same way. Often, when commercials and authors are trying to persuade you, they will slant the truth to their side so that the viewer or reader will agree with them. So you need to ask yourself, is this fact? Is it provable? Or is it an opinion? Is the writer trying to convince me of something? Is the article biased? Now, this is not to say that all persuasive pieces are inaccurate. I don't mean to say that if someone is trying to persuade you of something that they're automatically wrong. But you do need to be able to use your critical thinking skills to decide what is really true and what is the author's opinion that he or she is trying to convince you is absolute truth. So what is bias? Bias is an author's personal outlook on a given topic. It's the set of ideas and experiences that the author already has before he or she approaches a topic. A lot of times, bias can cause prejudgments. If we think about our lives in real life, one common type of bias, unfortunately, is racial bias. People of different races might have negative experiences with members of another race and make prejudgments about all people of that race. Bias is when a person is already leaning one way or another about an issue, even if they don't know the whole story. Bias can be formed when the writer doesn't have all of the information, so they are writing opinions without having the whole story. Bias can also be created when the writer is purposefully trying to persuade the reader of something. You can tell an article or commercial is biased if it ignores the other side of an argument. Lastly, bias can be formed when a writer's experience influences his or her attitude. It's about where that author is coming from and whether he or she has had a positive or negative experience with a topic that results in a change in attitude. Think about when you get on a plane or a train or a bus and all of a sudden a mother with a small baby walks on. I always groan when I see that because in my experience, babies on planes or trains or buses cry and scream and are generally loud and kind of annoying. Okay, cute, but loud. My past experience has given me a bias. I have prejudged the situation even though that baby might not have made a single sound yet. To determine the facts and bias and assess the accuracy of an article, ask yourself some of these questions. You can underline the facts in an article. Can they be proven? Is the tone of the opinions positive or negative? What do you know about the author? How might experiences affect this writer's opinions? Do you think the writer intentionally uses bias to persuade, or is it unintentional? How biased is the article? Can the author be trusted, or is the bias too strong for a clear understanding of the topic? Are some facts being left out? Pause the video and write down 3 of these questions that seem the most important to you when determining facts versus biased opinion. Let's practice determining bias and accuracy. Look at this short paragraph about tomatoes. Eating tomatoes is one of the best things you can do. These beautiful red fruit not only thrill your taste buds and brighten your plate, they help fight disease. Studies show that people who eat tomatoes, and lots of them, lower their risk of cancer because tomatoes contain lycopene, a powerful antioxidant. Dr. Joe Johnson, head of Doctors for Promoting Healthy Vegetables, Incorporated. All right, is this article biased? Let's think through some of the questions we should ask. First, is it current? The publication date, right here, says that it was published in October of this year, so that would be a yes. Next, is it reliable? Does anything seem outlandish or unlikely? Not really. It seems pretty believable. It's not saying that tomatoes are a superfruit that automatically cure anything that's wrong with you, but it does say that they are good for you and they help fight disease. Okay. There is a balance between opinions and facts, which we'll talk about in a minute. Next, does the author have authority? Now, this is a fictional article, right? Dr. Joe Johnson and Doctors for Promoting Healthy Vegetables doesn't actually exist, but let's say that it did exist. Dr. Joe Johnson is a doctor, obviously, and in charge of a whole, even though it's fictional, company for promoting healthy vegetables. We can trust what he says because he seems to have authority based on his medical practice and his position in this company. Lastly, what is the point of view? Is Dr. Joe trying to persuade us to eat tomatoes? Well, yes, he is. But why is he trying to persuade us? Is it to sell us something for our own or for our own health benefit? It's for our health. It's not just to con us into buying more tomatoes, right? It's because they are healthy and they're good for people. He's a doctor. He cares about people's health. So plus, you can see, as I've highlighted the facts in green and the opinions in red, there's a pretty good balance between the two without too much opinion. It's not weighted in the opinion side of things. There's really more facts in it than opinions. This can be considered an accurate and unbiased source because it passes the CRAP test. So to recap, to decide if an article is accurate and unbiased, you can ask the right questions. Is it current? Was it published recently, or does it have up-to-date information? Is it reliable? Can you trust the information that is in it? Does the writer have authority? Have they studied it? Are they paid by a credible newspaper? Is it published by a reputable source? And what is the author's purpose or point of view? Are they just trying to persuade you of something? Or do they have a purpose that is more informative, and are they balancing their facts and opinions? By asking yourself these questions, you can never be fooled by a bad article. I hope you have enjoyed this video and can go out and find credible sources in the future. Thanks for watching.